This is Backstage Bay Area, your all-access pass to the local music scene. Now here's your host, Steve Roby.
Welcome to another episode of Backstage Bay Area. Today we're diving into the soulful, rootsy world of Sean Hayes. Sean's music has been a soundtrack for celebration and reflection for over 2 decades, blending heartfelt lyrics with a rhythm that moves you from the inside out. His new album, Be Like Water, continues this tradition, offering an introspective yet groove-filled journey. Today, Sean will share the inspiration and heartfelt themes that shaped his latest album and give us an exclusive look at his brand new single, That Bomb You Signed. Plus, we'll get a preview of his upcoming show at Little Saint in Healdsburg. Our show starts with Gold Tooth, a song from Be Like Water. It's Sean Hayes on Backstage Bay Area.
Now I've got one, I used to have two. She had a needle and a gun. She stole my gold tooth. Now I've got one, I used to have two. She had a needle and a gun. She stole my gold tooth. She stole my gold tooth. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. What's a poor boy to do? Now I've got one, I used to have two. She had a needle and a gun. She stole my gold too. She stole my gold too. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. What's a poor boy to do?
That's Gold Tooth by Sean Hayes. It's from his new album, Be Like Water, which is available now. Sean is my guest today. Hey, Sean, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm so glad you could be here. Sean, you were born in New York City, raised in North Carolina, and spent 2 decades playing in San Francisco cafes, bars, and nightclubs. How would you describe your musical journey and the sound that developed along the way?
Oh, so let's see here. Born in New York and raised in North Carolina. And then when I was around 21 or so, I jumped in my friend's car, like one does, to come to San Francisco and then ended up there for 20 years. And I'd say looking back in my time in San Francisco, slowly realizing how much the South had actually had a real effect and gotten into my sound and my whole being in terms of my music and just some of the feelings. The further I got away from the South, the clearer I could see it in some ways. Being a little New York kid in some ways, like microcosm of New York and my family. But by the time I left North Carolina, I was definitely like, how y'all doing? But my accent would switch around pretty easily because I think as a young child, I was like, I'm from New York. So I think I learned to morph. So few months of being in San Francisco, I was probably speaking like a German or something because everybody I knew was from overseas because they all worked at cafes. I'd say the South really did get in there, though, and it's definitely a songwriter vibe. And I definitely sometimes joke with people or tell them I'm not really a musician, and they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm a songwriter. I kind of just don't mind getting in front of people and giving it a shot. I don't know. That comes a little bit from a theater background that I had a tiny bit of. If I had stayed in college, I probably would have studied theater. But music took a hold and kind of romanticism took a hold. And I jumped out and started running around playing songs and chasing that dream.
Who were some of your musical influences and inspirations?
So they're varied and all over the place. But, growing up like a normal child in the 70s and 80s, I would say it was more the things we all know, but things like even like the Police and the Smiths. And I think the first record I bought was Blondie. But then by the time I was kind of starting to play music on my own and actually play out, I met this gentleman named Michael Horowitz when we were about 19. We went to different high schools, but in the same little city in Greensboro, North Carolina. And he introduced me to Irish music, actually. And we started playing old-time Irish tunes, jigs and reels. And then we also just kind of out of that discovered, American old-time music and bluegrass. And we got into that, and it seemed like it was such an intense time, that time period when you're 19, 20, and played with those guys for about maybe a year. And we were playing some pretty amazing kind of old time. We didn't even know it. It was a real mesh of music. And then I kind of freaked out by being married to so many kids at once. And that was only the only real band I think I was ever in. And jumped in a whole different car. I didn't go to San Francisco to stay, but just went across the country for the first time. So that got in me a lot, that folk music. And but then by the time I got to San Francisco, I was really listening to, I went out to see a lot of jazz and a lot of hip hop and everything I could go see live. I was just checking out everything live. And it varies all over the place.
Yeah, it sure does.
Once I get to San Francisco.
There's so much diversity in the music here. And that's what we try to include on the podcast. It's not set at one genre. We just cover everything.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of fall into that a little bit because I don't think it's a great thing to do if you want to be in the music business, but I've always kind of ignored genre and just played what I play. But it does help. People want to know what they're going to dinner for.
Exactly.
They don't want Thai food and steak.
Let's talk about your current album, Be Like Water. Can you talk about the title's inspiration and key themes of this record?
Be Like Water is a song that, as a songwriter, sometimes you have lyric or something that comes to you but it sits around for 15 or 20 years. And Be Like Water was one of those. I was playing around with some friends in San Francisco, a good 20 years ago, and we were throwing some pennies, trying to do the I Ching, the ancient book of divination. And we all did our little readings, kind of like tarot card, but an ancient Chinese book. And mine was to be like water, follow the path of least resistance. Things go up, things go down. And so that always stuck with me. And I'd say like every year and a half or so, it would try to come out in a song, but it just would not come out. I wouldn't force it. It just would. I'd start strumming something and it would come out. And sometime in between, I know that I started playing that song, James Brown, Get Up, Get On Up, Get Up. So that got in there. I would say that Be Like Water is a real merger of James Brown and the I Ching, if that makes sense. So Be Like Water, get up to get down. You got to get up to get down. And it's just a mantra.
I opened the show up with Gold Tooth. What can you share with our listeners about this song?
Gold Tooth is another songwriting trip. Sometimes when you lose something or somebody kind of does you wrong, it tends to come out in a song. And Gold Tooth is just a kind of a funny song in some ways. I have 2 gold crowns, and one of them came out on a piece of candy. I got them when I was very young, actually. I don't know. I need to go find that dentist and ask him how I got them so young. But anyway, one of them came out after being in my mouth for, 20, 30 years. And I went to the dentist and I said, I need to get a new crown. And she said, you want gold? And I said, yeah, let's do gold again. So I go to her and she puts another crown in, and I go home and I look in the mirror and it's not gold. It was white. It was porcelain. But I called her up and I was like, it's not gold. And she was like, oh, it's white gold, which it was not white gold. Anyway, I ignored that and was like, well, that's really weird. She just messed up and won't admit it. But it was fine. And then that song came out of it. I used to have 2. Now I've got 1. She had a needle and a gun. She stole my tooth. It sounds much darker than it is.
That's what I got when I first listened to it. I thought, whoa, there's a needle involved here. What's a sinister backstory or something like that?
Yeah, it sounds like I'm having some dark times, but really, it's a much more whimsical song. So I tend to hold that story off until after I sing it and tell it to the audience, and they get a little laugh out of it if it's that kind of show. If it's a folk show.
Is that sense of humor of yours kind of a theme in your music? Does that?
It's actually not. I don't think there's a lot. You don't really. I mean, when I'm playing live, especially if I'm playing more of a smaller folk show, then I'll I'll talk it up and tell the stories behind the songs, and they can be quite amusing and stuff. But when I'm playing like a club and with a band, I tend to try to bring out the movement in the music and the dance and just let people party and have a good time. And I don't try to talk it up as much because people are just chatting themselves and having fun. So I almost have a schizophrenic thing going on there, depending on which show you come to.
Okay. Anyway, I want to play the title track from the album, Be Like Water, next. You gave us a little backstory on this one. I pick up a kind of a gospel soul feel to it. I was kind of like wondering if there was any kind of Bruce Lee kind of indications in the song, but I hear more kind of a revival kind of vibe to it. Am I right?
Definitely musically, it's there's something I really love about there's like spirituality and mantra and trance, and I think a lot of religious music and gospel and is about kind of losing yourself in something and also remembering something that's important. So I have a bunch of songs that I'll call kind of rants or trances, and Be Like Water is one of those. I didn't get it from the Bruce Lee, but I definitely learned about the Bruce Lee. Mine came more from probably where Bruce Lee came from, which was that I Ching book, which is an interesting book to look at.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the title track from Be Like Water. It's Sean Hayes on Backstage Bay Area.
The book said, it said, be like water, said, be like water, be like water, come on. Yeah, the book said, it said, be like water, said, be like water, be like water, one more. Yeah, the book said, it said, be like water, said, be like water, be like water. When it's time to get down, get down. Get up to get down, get up to get down. Get up to get down, get up to get down. Get up to get down, get up to get down. Get up to get down, get up to get down. All the book says, be like water, be like water, be like water. Yeah, the book says, be like water, be like water, be like water. When it's time to get down, get down. Hey, come on, yeah. Get up to get down. 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 All the book said, be like water, be like water, be like water. Break it. Heck, the book said, be like water, be like water, be like water. When it's time to get down, now it's time to get down. Come on, it's time to get down. Get down.
That's Be Like Water, the title track from Sean Hayes' current album. Sean is my guest today. Sean, you have a gift for writing intimate and relatable songs. What's your typical process for crafting lyrics and melodies?
I remember once an interviewer asking me like melody or words first, and I was confused. And I realized years later, that's a very normal question. I've kind of always come at songwriting straight from just myself. I haven't studied it up very much, I guess. And for me, it's usually like I'm playing the guitar, and if you're playing the guitar, melody is just going to start coming out. If you're humming along, it's just there, and it's going to start invoking emotions. And then there's just kind of getting out of the way what's going on in your head, and trying to get it down is tricky. Like writing it down while you're doing that. It's like once you start to grab it, it starts to run away.
Sure.
You have to be careful with that. So I'll write it down. I'll get little clips here and there. The paper will go away. I'll almost memorize it while I'm writing it. And then, and I'll do voice memos of it, which I find to be really dangerous, because sometimes the second you press the voice memo, it kind of satisfies an urge and you can put it away. So it's a very dangerous thing, the voice memo thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've interviewed a lot of musicians who nowadays use their phones to, jot down ideas on their phones for songs and things like that. And then the old school ones that want to physically write it down and return to it later. And sometimes that comes back to bite them too.
Yeah, they both can be really interesting in that way. So I do all of those, but I do find that and I do a lot. I have countless voice memos of me singing ideas. The hard part is going back and actually doing anything with those ideas. Yeah. That's the dangerous thing, when you just grab it and then it satisfies something. And back in the day when you didn't have his voice memos as much, you had to pull on that thread a lot longer to make sure it stuck around. You had to kind of stick with it to make sure it didn't disappear. Now you can grab it and be like, okay, I got it. Let me just forget about that. And I do go back. So then my songs will tend to be emotional or intimate, because that's kind of, it's just where I know to go. Every once in a while, I'll go outside myself or try to write maybe. I'm not much of a writing from a different perspective. I'm not much of a, I couldn't probably write a complete sentence these days to save my life, because I write in such fragmented ways and little texts and things. So I don't consider myself much of a novelist or anything like that. So I just kind of like let what's happening. And then I think from years of playing, if you really do hit a spot that's got a lot of emotion and you might be more ready for it than you would be if you were just picking up the guitar for the first time.
Sure. What would you like the listener to take away after listening to Be Like Water?
Well, the whole record or the song?
Some of us out there listen to the whole record. I know it's kind of singles these days, but some of us like to listen to it all the way through.
For me, it's like I think when I listen to music, I like to be transported a little bit, and I also like to be moved a little bit, like move to get up and move around some. So I feel like I always try to put a little bit of a backbeat in there, or a reason to sway around. Or if you're listening in your kitchen, you might catch you all of a sudden and you start dancing some. Yeah. There's usually a lot of love involved. I think I have a little statement on my bio, which sometimes makes me cringe, but it's a little truth to it, of music to dance and to cry to, or maybe both at the same time. So,
okay. So you recently released a new single, That Bomb You Signed. Your website describes it as a meditation on the ethics of signing a bomb. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind this track and how it fits into your body of work?
Yes. Well, I put that out just on I think it's just on my website. Maybe I put it on Bandcamp as well. I have, we write songs, and getting it at a spot where you can actually go in the studio and record them the way you want to can be still pretty expensive and take a lot more money. So sometimes a song like That Bomb You Signed comes out, and you don't want to sit around for 2 years and wait for it to find an audio, to be released. Sure. So I just did a kind of a lo-fi version here in my studio, and I struggled with it a little bit because it's kind of depressing and political. That Bomb You Signed is it's asking a question about, like, obviously about the war that's going on in Gaza and Israel, and there was images of different politicians signing these bombs, and then just the idea that those bombs could have went and blown up a family and full of children, or a tent full of, you just don't really know. And I think it's kind of obscene, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
In my opinion.
I was thinking of the recent shooting in New York, where the shooter actually signed the bullets there. So that thing is still going on.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue that's bringing up all kinds of emotion and craziness of, why is it okay to drop a bomb and blow up, 150 innocent people at once,
Yeah.
but somehow, it's just, and so I struggle with that song a little bit too, because in some ways it's just so dark and you're like, who wants to hear this? I want to bring joy, but then it's something that's eating me up. So
Yeah.
I decided to just get it and put it out there in my own little way. Who knows how many people have heard it? 100, maybe 500. I also did a little just Instagram video thing with it, and maybe I'll record it again at some point. But I just felt like it needed to get out of my body and out into the world. So that was one of the reasons why I included it with this talk, is just because it is a very present song.
Yeah. Well, let's get it out to a few more listeners now. It's Sean Hayes with That Bomb You Signed here on Backstage Bay Area.
Now, did the bomb you signed fall on the wrong head? Did it fall on some baby instead? Sleeping inside a tent, hungry for some bread. Maybe that bomb fell on some kitchen. 7 people driving, trying to make a difference. She signed that bomb instead, letting them deliver bread. What am I supposed to do? I'm just everyday people. Yeah. What am I supposed to do? That bomb you signed could have been a bomb to lay right on that poor girl's ambulance, trying to say, baby, and I'm alone, come on, I'm alone, will you save? I'm alone, come on, I'm alone, come and save. I'm alone, come on, I'm alone, will you save? I'm alone, come on, I'm alone, will you save me? What am I supposed to do? I'm everyday people. Yeah. What am I supposed to do? I'm just an ordinary man.
It's That Bomb You Signed, a new single from my guest today, Bay Area singer-songwriter Sean Hayes. Hey, Sean, you mentioned plans for new music in 2025. Can you give us a sneak peek at what's to come?
Yeah, what's to come? 2025. Well, I do have, a handful of songs that I, again, need to figure out how to record and which way to go. And, I have the means, and like most of musicians these days, we have enough to kind of record at home and figure it all out. So I may end up going that way. Otherwise, you have to go out and figure out where to get some money to go in a nice studio and get some players. And so you kind of juggle with that. But I definitely have a group of songs that are dying to get out. So I'm hoping in the next couple of months to really be focusing on that and figuring it out. And then I'm probably going to do a West Coast tour in the spring. And we did a Colorado tour last year, and we might do another Colorado tour coming up. Just, it's a great spot to bop into, and all the cities are actually pretty close together.
Yeah.
And then I try to get out to the East Coast when I can. That's a little harder these days. I have, 2 little boys, or they're not so little anymore, 11, 14, but that takes up a lot of bandwidth, and you don't want to be gone too long.
Yeah. Your live shows are often described as dynamic yet intimate, as you mentioned earlier. What's your approach to creating that connection with your audiences during performances?
So it really, it does, I do find a big difference between if people are sitting down or standing up. Those are really different shows to me. One, usually if you're sitting down, it's almost more of a folk show or a theater show, and people are more relaxed. And then I will talk a little bit more and tell stories, and I think people enjoy that. If everybody's standing up and, at a club, then I really do also I love to go out and hear music that makes me want to move a little bit and lose myself. And so I'll just try to let the music speak for itself a little bit more. And I really do let the audience figure it out on their own. I'm not very much I very rarely in my life have had to direct the audience. I mean, if they want to get loud and wild, then if somebody's really obnoxious and ruining the show for everybody else, then I might have to call them out. But But otherwise, it's really up to the audience to figure out what kind of night they want to have, And I just let the music take us where it's going to go. I try to leave it really open too with the players that I play with. If it wants to stretch out, a song wants to stretch out, and we can groove on it some, or if it wants to stay really close to the arrangement, I'm pretty open with that, depending on the night and the vibe.
So finally, your next show is at Little Saint in Healdsburg, a great town and a great venue to play at. What can fans look forward to at this performance?
Yeah, well, that is a really fun and special venue that's popped up here in the last few years, and they're doing really great stuff up there, and it's very elegant and very casual at the same time, I find that, and they have a great restaurant below with vegan food and cocktails, and it's the last Saturday of the year, December 28th. So my thought for that is kind of like, for all of us who probably aren't really wanting to go out on actual New Year's, we can kind of have our little mini New Year's on that Saturday. So I'm going to try to get people dancing. Maybe we'll blow up one balloon and drop it from somewhere. Maybe I'll even sing some kind of Guy Lombardi song or something. So that's the way I'm looking at that night. There'll be some moments of intimacy, but I'm also just want it to be fun for everybody and just have a good time, kind of a good time night. And might have a couple of guests come out as well.
Nice.
If the North Bay folks make it. I'm trying to figure out who can come out and surprise folks as well.
Yeah, sounds like a fun evening. And let me remind our listeners, Sean Hayes will perform on Saturday, December 28th. At Little Saint in Healdsburg for a 7 p.m. show. The venue notes that this is a standing room only event, so everybody's going to be standing. If you'd like to dine before the show, you should make reservations at their cafe downstairs. Go to the site littlesainthealdsburg.com for tickets and more info. Sean, do you want to give a shout out to your website or social media for folks to get more info about what you got?
Sure. Well, I'm on SeanHayesMusic.com is my website, and then I'm on Instagram. I think I'm on Rattlesnake Charm because I like to make it really difficult for people to find me on Instagram, and on Facebook and all those kinds of things too. So I'm not too hard to find.
What is Rattlesnake Charm?
Rattlesnake Charm is from a song called it's called Rattlesnake Charm, and it's also called Dream Machine. It's from a record many years ago called Alabama Chicken, and the phrase itself was from an old time fiddler, Tommy Jarrell, who was talking on a movie that this guy Les Blank made, and he was like, "Well, we put the rattlesnake, tails and the fiddles to keep the I think it was like to keep the bugs away or something, rats away." Anyway, and he talked about it charming the music. So that Rattlesnake Charm kind of made its way into a song, and it's a song about kind of dancing, really, rattlesnake. And then a DJ named Mark Farina remixed it many years ago, and so it's got a low down tempo house version that is actually probably one of the most popular things I've ever done, even though it's on Mark Farina's record label. And it's called Dream Machine.
Nice. Sean, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I really learned a lot, and I wish you much success in the coming year.
Thank you so much. Thanks for reaching out, and nice to meet you as well.
Backstage Bay Area will be right back.
Hey musicians, would you like to be a guest on Backstage Bay Area? Just email the host and let him know when you'll be playing in the Bay Area. The address is backstage.sfbay@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning into the Backstage Bay Area podcast. Don't forget to visit us online at backstagebayarea.com for more insights and stories. Be sure to join us next time for more engaging conversations with local talent and touring musicians. Until then, keep the music alive, and we'll see you backstage.